this is where the fun begins.
Yes, Texas is a rival.
I have a river of Kool-Aid for basketball.
It's time to step inside the Hawg Pen.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another special edition of Inside the Hawg Pen. I'm Razorback Zach, joined by Tyler Callahan, and our special guest of the evening is Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered. Chris, what's up, man? Welcome back to Inside the Hawg Pen.
Zach, Tyler, what's going on? Appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, excited to be on. I'm sure we have not a whole lot to talk about, right? There's nothing going on down in Fayetteville. But, no, it's really fun, man. This season's been incredible. It's crazy. We're already into week number 7. I wish it'd slow down. We're going to blink. Obviously, it'll be Thanksgiving, and we'll blink again, and the Hogs will probably have a new head coach. So, yeah, it's flying by, man. It's wild.
Well, if anything, I hope the head coach is already on the hill, but that's beyond the point. Real quick, Chris, I want to ask you, what is the perspective outside of Arkansas about Bobby P being back as head coach of the Hogs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting. I think everybody, is excited to see what it looks like. From what I can tell, I don't think anybody's really taking him seriously as a long-term candidate. I mean, I just to be honest, from the people that I've talked to, I think it's more of a, let's see what he can do down the stretch, and I guess maybe it is sort of an audition. But I don't, from the people I talk to, and just from my perspective, I don't seriously see him being a contender to be the next head football coach. I understand what Bob Petrino's done at Arkansas, and it's a different game now, man. It's just a completely different game with NIL and the portal, and you think about when Petrino had his success, and obviously we weren't even remotely near where we are now in college football.
Right.
So, but I do think there's excitement, right? I mean, there's a reason everybody was so pumped up when he came back as the offensive coordinator, and certainly I am intrigued. I thought Arkansas was a dangerous team coming into the season. Admittedly, my expectations overall were fairly low, but I thought they could be a dangerous team. I mean, I think they're even more dangerous with Bobby Petrino truly now in charge, calling the shots. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled a big upset. They got somebody. Obviously they've got the game, I believe this weekend at Tennessee. I mean, that very well could turn into an upset. I mean, I think down the road you could see them spring an upset or two, but all in all, I do think most expect that while it's going to be a lot of fun to follow them the rest of the way, somebody not named Bobby Petrino will be the head coach going into 2026.
You honestly think Bobby P's not going to – okay, so let's say, for instance, that he goes 7-0 these last 7 games. You don't think that that's going to win him the job permanently?
Well, I guess if you go undefeated, I mean, it's certainly – it would be a tough conversation, tough to not bring him on as the full-time head coach. I just, man, again, I'm thinking super long-term here, and I like Bobby Petrino. I think he's innovative. I think he's an offensive guru. I just, dare I say, I feel like today's college football is a young man's game, dude. It's a hustler's game. And I guess the thing you have to figure out that I don't really know about Bobby Petrino is he willing to hustle like that in recruiting and NIL and the portal? Like, does he really want to do all that? I don't know. I'm not always a big fan of retreads and rehires in that regard. I know Bobby Petrino, again, what he did the first go-around in Fayetteville, but I also think there's a lot of good young coaches in this cycle that you'll be able to go out and go after. And, we've heard some of the names that maybe have some interest in that job. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I guess if he goes undefeated, he earns it. It is what it is, so be it. But I think it would be good, in my opinion, good for Arkansas to get some fresh blood in there. But you're right. Yeah, if they go undefeated, it'd be hard to tell him no.
Man, I've thought the same thing because what you're looking at is you've got the past and the good memories of everything that you've had. But like you said, the landscape has changed so much. And while you could see what the potential for the upside, the potential for the crash and burn is just as high, in my opinion. And I'm with you, Chris. I'm excited to see what Bobby Petrino can do. But I've said this, I think you have the potential for it to go way south and actually create a deeper hole if you continue down that road. So I'm with you. But what do we do moving forward to slide away from that? I mean, we don't we have Hunter Yurchek saying things like we're not built to win national championships in college football right now. Today, our Arkansas Edge Collective ran by what we separated from that. That happened today. So it just seems like more and more questions keep arising in that department.
Yeah, Tyler. Before I tackle this, I do want to get out ahead of this, get this out there because there's some Arkansas folks out there that think for whatever reason that I'm anti-Hogs or hate the Hogs or what have you. I'm actually not. It's quite the opposite. I love Arkansas, and I just think that you're right. Some of the things that Hunter Yurachek has said, and I was critical of some of the things he said in his latest presser about Sam Pittman when asked about was he given the resources necessary to win at the SEC level, and he essentially said no. And people justify that and defend that by, well, people didn't believe in him. He's not the guy. It's like, so Sam Pittman didn't even have a chance then, and you were okay with that, and you're cool with that. So, I think Arkansas college sports now, guys, it's all about your output and your input directly correlate with each other. And just because you put in a certain input, it doesn't guarantee a large output. Like if you invest a ton, it doesn't mean you'll get a ton. But if you invest little, you're guaranteed you're going to get little, right? You're not going to make chicken salad out of chicken, you know what? It's just not possible. So,
well, but Chris, here's the thing: when he stood in front of the board of trustees, he came out again in front of the Little Rock Touchdown Club, made those comments, and then doubled down on those comments in front of the board of trustees, essentially blaming the fan base for not donating enough. When why should the fans invest in a program that is essentially on life support the last 3 out of the 4 years?
And that is the conundrum that you run into with NIL. Because Zach, I agree with you. I don't think. Listen, this funding model, if you will, this crowdsourcing model is not sustainable. It's not fair. You're right. We shouldn't have to ask the common fan, the 9-to-5 everyday goer that scrounges together their funds to get season tickets and travel to games and maybe go to a road game or two every season. We shouldn't be asking them to fund their favorite college football program's roster. But unfortunately, it is where we are. I mean, look at what LSU did. Hey, it's not even paying off for them at this point right now. But they put a bunch of money together. They raised a couple $1 million. They gave it to Brian Kelly so he could go out and get the roster that he felt like he needed or wanted. It's just it's how we're operating in today's college sports. I don't like it as much as you do. But the bottom line is I come down to this. I think the expectations at Arkansas, there's no reason in my mind and no reason to believe why I think Arkansas should be able to expect at least going 7 to 8 wins every single year, making the college ball playoff every 3 to 4 seasons. I had a buddy of mine that covers Arkansas, talked to him over the summer, asked him what are the realistic expectations for Arkansas football to make the college football over the course of a decade, the playoff, I should say, make the playoff over the course of a decade. His answer was 0 because he felt like that was the realistic expectation. Like Arkansas is not a program that's going to make the playoff. And
they're not.
To me, that's outrageous. That feels – I don't see why – like, give credit to Lane Kiffin. They've got the right guy there. But if a program like Ole Miss can contend for the college football playoff, if Missouri can contend for the college football playoff, you can't make good enough reasoning to me as why Arkansas cannot do the same. And I'm not saying year in, year out, but, like – I've been to Fayetteville. Only once, but I've been to Fayetteville. It's an awesome place. The people are great. The fans are passionate. The facilities are awesome. I don't see why Arkansas can't be that kind of program. I really don't.
Well, okay. So I'm going to caveat off that and kind of give you not really an inside baseball because, like I said, none of us have any kind of insider info. We're just fans here at ITHP, just calling it like we see it. But what we've read, from what we've heard, from what we've been told by credible sources within the program, it all starts at the top. 3 years ago, when Sam Pittman won, 4 years ago now, when Sam Pittman won 9 games, that should have been his moment to ride off into the sunset and hand the reins over to somebody else. But he didn't. And at this point in his career, when he was let go, he pretty much pissed all of that away, all that magic away, in my opinion. But when you have an AD, and I've said this many times on the show before, and Tyler can back me up on this, when you have an AD that comes out and says, all these negative comments and is not buying into NIL. Then the very next year, he's begging the fan base to donate an extra $100 into the NIL because they're not where they want to be. And now this year, you have him come out and say, we're not built to win a national championship. In the mid, they weren't even on this 3-game losing streak yet. They were still above 500 when he made these comments. And it all starts with your attitude at the top, whether he's trying to go for a position at the SEC level or not, which is a whole nother thing we can get into on another show. But it all starts at the top, and then you have a head coach that seems to be in over his head. But tell me why, you mentioned something about the money being spent. Ohio State went out and spent $20 million and won a national championship, whereas A&M, a couple of years ago, everybody knows, spent $30 million. The best they could do was 7-5. And here we are at 6 to 16 million, because I don't know what the actual number is, and we're sitting at 2-3. So all these people that are saying that it's a coaching problem, then if it's not coaching, what is it?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we'll talk about Sam Pittman for a second. And this is how you know it was time for him to go, when I have to start every conversation with, he's a great dude, man. Sam's awesome. I love Sam.
That seems to be how the conversations always start.
Yeah, I mean, when you have to start every convo with that, probably not a good sign. But it was time. I mean, it was time. At some point, again, I went to Fayetteville last year for the Arkansas-Tennessee game. Electric atmosphere, electric game. We all know how it went. But I'll never forget being there on game day, and I ran into some folks at a tailgate. They had their own tailgate spot right there, right off the street where they have all the street stuff going on right there, whatever, big tailgate spot. And I was talking to them, big group of people, and they were like, yeah, we used to bring out like this metal hog that had the red eyes and smoke coming out the nose, and we were cooking, doing this, doing that, had all this signage. And he's like, this is all we have now. And it was just like a little grill and like a table or whatever. And he's like, dude, we have just been beaten into submission at this point. We're like, we are so apathetic and so just, it's just same old, same old, same old. Like, at some point, the program needed new energy. It needed new life. It needed some juice. It needed something interjected into it. So, as great a dude, and the only reason Sam Pittman lasted as long as he did is because he's a likable guy. Let's call it for what it is, because it's not like the winning was at an all-time high. I mean, it became very lather, rinse, repeat with the program. And maybe Sam Pittman was a victim of his own early success. I mean, he really was. Think about it. If you take what you did last season and put that in that season, and then take that 9-win season and put it last year, we're not talking about Sam Pittman on the hot seat, right? It's a whole different vibe. But because you won those 9 games early and you won that Outback Bowl and you had a taste of early success, and I think Sam Pittman should be commended. I mean, he took over the program, and it was – talk about down in the dumps. What was that, post-Chad Morris?
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and say it.
Yeah, it was post-Chad Morris. I mean, he took it over when it was –
Well, but, Chris, when you're looking at the program now versus where he took it over, I mean, outside of the record books and outside of the season records, it's kind of in the same boat when it comes – if you talk to Arkansas fans, where it's just we're so apathetic that we're itching so bad to just be – I'm not even saying – I wouldn't – and Tyler, you can caveat off this if you want to. I'm not saying so much as being in the playoff, just being relevant again.
Well, here's the thing. You're going to be one of 3 things, and this goes in sports and life, what have you. You can either be better than, worse than, or different than. And at a place like Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Missouri, more often than not, you're probably not going to beat Vanderbilt. You're probably not going to be better than, but you can be different than. And so, like, when Bobby Petrino was there, it wasn't like they were winning the SEC, but damn it, they were exciting. They were fun to watch. They were explosive. They were entertaining. Look at, like, Mike Leach, rest in peace, when he was at Mississippi State. They weren't winning the West every year, but they were fun to watch. They were entertaining. Look at Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia. Like, they are, and who knows, maybe they make the playoff, but either way, they're entertaining. They're fun to watch. They're a threat every week. They don't go out there and, get beat down by 40 on their home field repeatedly over and over and over again, right? So, like, I don't think it's unrealistic, to your point, for Arkansas to expect, hey, we just want to be different than. And maybe every 3, 4, 5 years, we have a veteran quarterback. We have a veteran offensive line. You know, the roster, the pieces come together. We hit a big portal class or a recruiting class that we brought in from a couple years ago. It starts to hit. We have a schedule like Missouri that's conducive to a big season. Like some of these things break, and you can talk about winning 9 or 10 games and getting to a playoff. That's not a crazy goal, you know, but it starts by getting the right guy in there. And it just came with you knew what Sam Pittman was. He's not a horrific football coach, but yeah, the program needed a shot in the arm.
Here's the thing too, man, with the next guy and something that we've missed out on the last 2 years. This past recruiting class, the freshman that came in this year, was the first time that the Razorbacks didn't land over half of the top 10 kids in the state. Yeah. And I think we only landed one. We have a quarterback who went to Minnesota. We've got a defensive lineman who went to LSU, or offensive lineman who went to LSU. And you look at a lot of these guys, and a lot of the times that Arkansas has been successful, there have been 5, 6, 7 guys on the team who contribute who are from the state of Arkansas. And I think that's super important.
Yeah, if you can't put up a border around your home state, I know everybody wants to talk about portal, and it's all about portal, but yeah, if you can't get those guys from your home state to come to your school, the flagship university, there isn't another big school in the state of Arkansas, that's a problem. And I remember this over the offseason, to your point. I remember people talking about this, and it's one of those things where, like, you're going to talk about it, but people, they more so whisper about it than yell about it because they don't want it to – They want it to be a footnote. They don't want it to spell potential disaster, but I do think it was a sign that, you know, when recruiting goes downhill, because recruiting is hope. That's what it is. It is the lifeline, the life raft of your program. If you're losing games, hey, we're still recruiting well. Once you start losing that, it's really over.
But Chris, you could like Jimbo did down at Texas A&M when he had that $30 million recruiting class and the top recruiting class. It all comes that you can have the top recruiting class in the country and even in the SEC, but if you can't develop them, what's the point?
Well, you got to be able to develop, and you got to have good culture. That I think the culture part is what they were missing more than anything. The stories we heard about guys smoking weed in the locker room, and it was a total mess down there. So you're right. I mean, listen, you're right. It's not all stars, but I tell you, if you don't have the Jimmies and Joes, it's going to be an uphill battle.
In the last couple of years in Sam Pittman's tenure, and again, the rumors have gone rampant. The stories have not been completely confirmed, but when you have a picture come out of the Arkansas football team staring at a TV watching Polar Express, it doesn't give off good vibes. Why would anybody want to come here? But anyway, when you look at teams like Vanderbilt, when you look at teams like Mississippi State right now, who are on the up and up, when you look at Eli Drinkwitz, when you look at Lane Kiffin, what they're doing at their schools, who were there the same time as Sam Pittman, I mean, we've gone through more head coaches in, 12 years since Bobby's been here, since 90% of the SEC. It's a culture problem. So my question is, how do you change the culture when it's so embedded of apathy, when it's so embedded with mediocrity?
You got to go get the right guy. I mean, you got to go find the right leader, you know, and that's a hard – there are people getting paid a lot more than you and I and all of us here to make those decisions and go out and vet these candidates and interview these people, but you just got to find the right guy. I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, it's all about NIL and investment, but people will invest in who they believe in. It's just like any other walk of life, business, anything, right? They'll invest in who they believe in. People invest in people. So I don't know if that's Dan Mullen. I don't know if that's John Gruden. I don't know if that's John Summerall. I don't know if that's Alex Golish. I don't know if that's somebody else that I didn't mention. If that's Bobby Petrino, I don't know. But you got to find that guy people will leave in. Again, all it takes is the right guy to change that culture. I believe that. I think that somebody can bring excitement, bring discipline, bring energy. I mean, heck, Kirby Smart talks about it, right? Fire, passion, energy. Like, I think somebody can come in there and bring that. Winning cures all, right? So you're talking about the apathy and you start winning some ball games, that'll go away real quick, and DWR be packed out yet again, and people be excited about the Hogs. I don't think it'll take much to get people fired up.
So put yourself in the AD shoes. Who would be your guy? a lot of people around here, and even word coming out of Fayetteville, is everybody's trying to go all in on Rhett Lashley. I'm not sold on him just because of the fact, yes, he's playing at SMU. Did we not learn our lesson from the last guy we hired away from there? But the second point is they don't play the same strength of schedule that we play here in the SEC. You don't play the Alabamas. Well, I say that. But you don't play the Georgias, the Texas. You don't play that level of competition. So, of course, he's going to be having a better record at SMU. Of course, he's going to be on the short list. But if you were the AD, who would you go get right now as the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks?
Selfishly, I love the idea of Dan Mullen back in the SEC, man. I really do. And you see what he's doing at UNLV early. I thought Florida moved off him too quickly. I did. I think he wants to get back in the SEC. You know, the big question with Mullen's the recruiting side. He had some very, very interesting comments about, hey, ask me about recruiting during recruiting season, right? Well, it's recruiting season all year.
Yeah.
So that's – if not him, again, I mentioned some of the, you taking a flyer on like a G5 guy. I mean, I like the idea of a Summerall, a Golish. I don't know if he'd come to Arkansas, but I like a guy like Brent Key from Georgia Tech. I think he'll instill discipline, toughness. I know maybe it's not like a super flashy product offensively, but, I think he'd be a good fit for Arkansas because when I think of Arkansas, I do think physicality, run game, tough defense. I think he'd kind of fit the culture of what Hogs football has been for so long. Yeah, like I said, one of those G5 guys too.
Right.
I think all those would be. I agree with you. The Lashley. I don't think Lashley would be a bad hire. I mean, everybody's going to be a roll of the dice to some degree.
Well, but
Bobby
the fan
Petrino would
base,
be a roll of the dice.
the fan base. I mean, if you watch the Arkansas boards, if you listen to the reports coming out of Fayetteville and everything, they're wanting a guy that's got Arkansas ties because Arkansas is so unique. It doesn't always play out that way, though. Just because they have Arkansas ties doesn't mean they're going to understand the culture, the tradition, the history of the Hogs.
Yeah, I do think that's important. There's some jobs in the SEC and across college football where I do agree with you. I think not only do you have to find someone that wants the job, but they want all of the challenges of the job. Like they really embrace the hard of the job, right? And they don't see the program for what it is. They see it for what it can be. You know who I think does a really good job of that is Clark Lee. I think Clark Lee does an incredible
job. Absolutely.
People will look and listen to Clark Lee and they think he's delusional and they think he's crazy. He goes up to the podium and says Vanderbilt can be and will be the best program in the country. Yeah, he sounds crazy. But you have to have that, and it's a much crazier statement to make about Vandy than it would be to make about Arkansas, as much as people would try to laugh the guy off the stage. But what I love about that, I love people that have a delusional sense of belief in whatever it is they're trying to achieve and whatever goal they're trying to accomplish. So you're right. You have to find that guy. You need to find that guy that understands Arkansas, understands the people of Arkansas, what makes it special, what makes it unique, what makes it hard, and embrace all of that and put his head down and go to work. Because if you go get a guy who's trying to use it as a landing spot or just a next stop in his career, they're not going to be as willing and as eager to push through the adversity that inevitably is going to come in that position as somebody who they know all that head on. They know all that when they take the job and they're taking it head on.
You mentioned. Go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say, man, I know you got limited time, but before you kind of start winding down here to hop off, what do you think about John Gruden? And I know that's like one of those statue top of the list everybody wants, but man, here's the real deal though. You watch the video of him receiving all the gifts from the University of Arkansas, and you listen to him talk about the history of Razorback football. And I mean, he really dives deep into it while he's looking at all this gear. And we talk about wanting a guy who understands Arkansas football. Well, that dude ran down the histories. And is that a guy that you think would instill that toughness? And is it even possible for us to land somebody who has stated he wants to coach in the SEC?
Going off of Zach's body language, by the way, I don't know that he's a huge fan of the idea.
Wait a minute.
I'll say this, man, that selfishly from the content side, I hope it happens. I mean, the dude would be a straight-up electric factory. Moves like that kind of worry me a little bit. Because it's just I look at it this way, like just because you had success in the NFL doesn't mean to me you're going to be a successful college coach. I mean, God, look, and I know
look at Bill Belichick.
You look at Belichick, and thankfully Gruden doesn't have a girlfriend like 60 years younger than him. So that's one less distraction that we know about.
The thing about Belichick is, though, he has a losing record without Tom Brady as his quarterback. I mean, you can look at that and say, without anything else, and say, okay, maybe something's up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Gruden would definitely bring a level of toughness. No, there's no doubt. He would definitely bring toughness. It's just, again, everyone would be a roll of the dice. He would be probably one of the biggest gambles you could take. Just because, again, it's like not only has he not won at the SEC level, he hasn't even coached in college that I'm aware of. Maybe if I'm missing some of his experience, but
yeah, no, I don't think so. And here's my thing, Chris, and we'll start wrapping up and let you go here in just a second. It's not that I'm against John Gruden. I just don't see that big of a name coming to Arkansas in the current state of affairs that's going on up there right now. That's like going out and getting Nick Saban to come here. It's just not going to happen. I just don't see it. Although 18 to 24 months ago, I did sit right here and say Bobby P would never come back to Arkansas. 48 hours later, he was hired on as the offensive coordinator. So maybe it's possible. And it's not that I don't like the guy. It's just I don't foresee a big name coming in to that position in the current state of chaos that's up there in Fayetteville right now.
Can I say something blasphemous on these airwaves? You don't think Eli Drinkwitz would take a call, do you?
You know, ironically, see, this is why I wish you'd have a little bit more. We got to bring you back on because, you know what? I'm gonna save that. I'm putting.
Listen, I'm just saying. Everybody loves to make fun of him and hate him, but he's a hell of a football coach.
I don't see it, but I'll explain later on after the break because I know you got to get out of here. Tell them where they can find you, Chris.
Yeah, Zach, Tyler, I really appreciate you guys, man. This has been a ton of fun. It's a blast every time I get to come on the airwaves with you. We're at SEC Unfiltered, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, podcast, YouTube, wherever you get that. Of course, our website, secunfiltered.com. And the SEC Unfiltered Tour rolls on. We're at a different game, different location every weekend. This weekend, Dallas, Texas for the Red River Shootout. Still a really good chance. I don't know that it's going to be in Fayetteville, but there is a good chance we will see the Hogs at some point on the tour. So stay tuned.
Hey, when you come to Arkansas, man, give me a shout. We'll link up.
Yeah. Hey, listen, at minimum for basketball and or baseball season, we're going to make it happen.
Hey, you got my ears perked up for baseball now. So, all right, Chris, we appreciate you coming on, my man.
All right, guys, y'all be good. We'll talk.
All right, that is Chris Phillips. We're going to go to break. On the other side of the break, we're going to expand on those comments. Coming up on Inside the Hawg Pen.
Meeks Design is your one-stop shop for custom clothing with a personal touch. At Meeks Design, we can help you tell your story through your wardrobe. Your imagination on a hat, shirt, pullover, or nearly anything wearable. And while you're picking out some custom clothing, check out the one-of-a-kind handmade soaps from the Bobcat Soap Company. Find us on Facebook and let us create custom swag just for you at Meeks Design.
Hey, Hawg fanatics. We at Inside the Hawg Pen are thrilled to announce that SeatGeek is now a sponsor. As brand ambassadors, we're excited to share SeatGeek as a ticket app that simplifies the ticket buying process for all your favorite events. They provide a 0 to 10 score for each ticket, with green indicating a good deal and red indicating a not so good deal. As a special offer, Hawg fanatics can get $20 off their first ticket purchase by using the code INSIDEHOGPEN. Check out our socials for the link, and remember to use the code INSIDEHOGPEN.
Attention Razorback fans and local businesses. Are you ready to reach the most passionate Arkansas sports fans out there? Introducing Inside the Hawg Pen. not your normal Razorback talk show. We're fans first and don't try to hide it. No agendas, no propaganda. At Inside the Hawg Pen, we call it like we see it. And now we're looking for sponsors to join the team. This is your chance to put your brand in front of thousands of loyal Razorback fans who live and breathe Arkansas sports. From small businesses to major brands, we have sponsorship packages tailored just for you. So let's grow together and make Inside the Hawg Pen bigger and better. Don't miss out. Call 501-416-4331 or email us today at insidethehogpen@gmail.com and become a proud sponsor of Inside the Hawg Pen.
It's time to step back inside the Hawg Pen to the Meeks Design Studios.
All right, welcome back to Inside the Hawg Pen. Big thank you to Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered. Sorry, man. So he made a point before he hightailed it out of here, which I think he wanted to drop that nugget just to see how I'd react. But Eli Drinkwitz to Arkansas, can it? Will it? Is it going to happen? Absolutely, positively, 100%. Hell no. And I'll explain why. Right now, you like how I did that?
Yeah, because if it happens, you're going to eat crow again.
Look, that's what I do best on this show, man. I've eaten so much damn crow on this show, it's not even funny. But let me explain why I don't think Drink's coming to Arkansas. Number one, why would he leave Missouri right now when they're undefeated? And I think they're what? They're ranked in what? The top 15, top 20, somewhere in there? Top 5, top 10, somewhere. I mean, they're close to being in the top 12. Number two, he's making $9 million a year. Unless Arkansas vastly overpays and promises him everything but the Walmart CEO spot, I don't think he's coming. Number two, he despises Arkansas about the same level as Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know that it's realistic to expect. I don't know if maybe there's chatter of that. Well, obviously, everything's kind of kept tight right now. We're obviously in the middle of a football season. They told Petrino that he was going to be considered for the head coaching job. So we did get a nugget that Missouri's offensive coordinator had interviewed for the position, which you and I just talked about. Is like, okay, well, if they're sharpening up on their interview skills and just preparing or whatever, but nonetheless, I just don't see there being any credibility to any names right now, just because Bobby Petrino still hasn't even coached a football game at the interim head coach position.
Well, and I'm gonna say this, and then I will cease and desist all comments from this sports buffet, because this is not a hog happy hour here. This is a realist podcast. All right. Here's the thing. All right. The people that broke the news about Drinkwitz can't find, they don't have credibility. They can't even get credentialed for the university. So they don't know anything. So at this point, any name that you hear, oh, they're on campus, or oh, they're getting interviewed, or oh, don't believe it. Do not believe it. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be always right, but come on, cut the crap. Ain't nobody, and I'm pulling out my Southern drawl here, ain't nobody getting any kind of announcement and trying to break news right now. Everything you hear about this coach or that coach or this guy or that guy, it's all clickbait. All right? You're not going to do it. It's week 6 of the college football season. Everybody, this thing is so wide open, and I will say it until I'm blue in the face, Tyler. This thing is so wide open, there ain't a coach out there that's going to entertain another job right now. I'll take a breath.
Yeah, man. I'm so, they've already had several coaches and interviews being asked about the job and what they thought about it. And of course, in normal fashion, the coach says, man, we're game planning for X team, blah, 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 blah. I'm not really concerned about that right now. Yeah. But guys, at the end of the day, our athletic department, board of trustees, whoever is handling putting together a hiring staff for this head coaching position, whoever's kind of heading that, they're sending out feelers. They're talking to agents. They're finding interest. That's what's happening right now. There might be that rare interview that comes through, but man, I mean, obviously everybody wants an answer, but this is the worst time for this to happen, obviously the bye week, because there's just so many questions.
I don't know about that, Tyler. I honestly, I think when it happened, it couldn't have happened at a more opportune time because of the bye week. So you have that ability for Petrino to get in there and instill his method of coaching, and you're not just working off of like 5 days.
Yeah, I meant more for fans, speculation, and things of that nature.
That's gonna happen the whole freaking season, dude. You know that.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, fans are getting riled up because we're not playing football right now. So they're what if this and that, and and honestly, we're doing the same thing because we want to know what's going on too. But the good thing is that this weekend we do have a football game against Tennessee, and we will get to see what's going on. Is there a change? Do we play with a certain toughness? And I think those are the things that we need to be focusing on right now. And then I'd say 3 weeks from now, we're going to have a better understanding of, is that the direction things are going to move, or is that not the direction that things are going to move?
Well, in 3 weeks, you play, let's see, you've got Tennessee, and I think you've got A&M and Auburn. I think this is going to be around the Mississippi State game. I would suggest probably by the time the second bye week or when we make that trip down to Baton Rouge, I think that is when you're going to start seeing things kind of form up. The short list is going to get even shorter. And then probably by the first of the year, maybe even sooner than that, you'll get an announcement from the University of Arkansas. But until then, I don't see – let this thing play out. Let it happen the way it's going to happen. Y'all don't believe anything you hear because here's the thing. At the end of the day, Sam Pittman was making $6.5 million a year. Drink's making $9 million. Ain't no way he's coming here. All right. John Gruden, I'm not against the guy, but I just don't see a big name coming here of that capacity with as much chaos and with as much turmoil is going on at the university right now.
Yeah, man, and I understand that. I just think that because of what happened with him, and I hate to, people deserve second chances. I think there was a little bit of more going on behind the scenes that people turned on him, and we don't have to dive into his past. But, I mean, just as Chris said, it's a gamble, and I understand that it's a gamble. But it's a game. It's just as much a gamble for Gruden as it is for the University of Arkansas. But I think that's one of those hires that brings the boosters and the money with it. That brings the excitement. That brings the media to the state of Arkansas. It's gonna change a lot of things. And obviously, it's just fun to talk about at the end of the day.
It can bring the media, it can bring the attention, it can bring all this. But the number one question people are going to ask of the next coach, and you even made this point in the team chat earlier today, is it needs to be a home run hire that could potentially be able to be flexible with the ever-changing landscape of college football. But the number one question, it doesn't matter how much media comes in. It doesn't matter how much fans buy in. What matters is how much money are they going to be able to bring in. That's all that matters nowadays.
Right.
So, but Tyler, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up on this special edition. We're going to be back Wednesday night on another abbreviated edition of Inside the Hawg Pen because Saturday is the longest broadcast ever annually that we do for Inside the Hawg Pen. It's the 2025 Litter Oktoberfest. I will be out there all day joined by Matt Hart of Hog HQ. We are going to be covering all the day's games, including live in-game commentary of Arkansas and Tennessee when it kicks off at 3:15. Plus, we'll have coverage of the Red River Shootout, and we'll talk a couple of breweries that are out there. And Matt, and I'll have some special guests with me, including my fiance Amy is one of the testers because I don't drink. Trying out some of the beers, kind of talking about it, and then probably later in the night, probably about 7, 8 o'clock, I will be judging the Steinhoist competition and be the MC of the Steinhoist competition there at the Litter Oktoberfest. So come out, $25 get you in the door, $40 will get you VIP tickets. And let me tell you about these VIP seats real quick. It's you get in an hour early, but what else do you get? Some of these home breweries that are out there that this event is being put on by, they have special beers just for VIPs. So you get to taste things, you get to try things that the general admission public don't get to try. So come out. It's $25 to get you in the door, $40 VIP, $10 will get you in as a designated driver for people like me that don't drink. But it's going to be a great afternoon, great evening, and it all goes to a great cause. We're going to be talking to charity out there as well. 6 to 9 p.m. kicks off North Little Rock, Argenta Plaza, and be looking for the big ITHT banner and me on a loudspeaker because you know me, I'm the loudest mouth in the fan base. All right, for Tyler Callahan, I'm Razorback Zach. Thank you for joining us on this special edition of Inside the Hawg Pen. Until Wednesday, so long, everybody.
Thanks for watching this episode of Inside the Hawg Pen. Listen anytime on your favorite podcast provider, and be sure to follow us on all our social network channels.